Good evening. This is the Planning Committee on Tuesday, the 30th of June at 7:30 p.m. Do we have any apologies for absence, Heather?
We do, yes. We have two apologies for absence. One from Councillor Vicky Ponchek, who has a family commitment, and one from Councillor Jane Ray, who is attending her daughter's school event.
Are we happy to accept those? Thank you. Any declarations of interest from anyone? No. And should we do the minutes of the Planning Committee held on the 9th of June?
Okay. I know, you were saying that earlier.
Thank you, Heather. Chairman's report on urgent items.
No, we have neither of those, Chair.
Any public questions in accordance with Standing Orders 2122?
Nope. We haven't
And
received
any list of objection to consider?
No, not directly to the Town Council.
Great. So we will start with applications registered week ending the 5th, the 12th and the 19th of June this evening. We start on page 9. So 5/2026/0958 does not meet the criteria for this evening. So we will go to 5/2026/0936, which is 43 Common Lane.
Right, okay. The property is the last house on Common Lane before the road narrows towards open countryside. To the right is a large plot for Sauncey View Lodge, with the closest buildings a long distance away. To the left is number 41A Common Lane, which sits close to the boundary line with the application property, but has a more forward front building line. Proposal at ground floor is looking to extend across the rear over the footprint of the existing conservatory to the right-hand side building line and extend the garage side wall to fall in line with the same side building line and conversion into a study. At first floor, it's proposed to extend an existing front bedroom forwards to almost meet the existing front first floor building line, an extension to a rear bedroom sideways partially over the footprint of the dining room element. Due to the positioning of 41A Common Lane, this will cause no impact on them as the extension is positioned towards their flank wall. There is no increase in bedrooms, just extending, not conservation area, no tree work and parking for 3 cars off street. And I have suggested no objection. There is actually an objection online. It's kind of, although it's logged as an objection, it isn't actually fundamentally against the application itself. So my concerns, however, are not about the content of the alterations to the property. These seem very much in keeping with the type of modifications that have been made for a number of properties on this road, and as such are more of the same, where permission has been granted recently. So their concerns actually is how the works will be executed and the impact on neighbouring properties during and after construction. The greatest concern is that of the construction phase. Property in question is the last property in Common Lane before the road narrows to single track and therefore has limited frontage on the streets. I also consider that to a lesser extent there is a risk of increased street parking being generated by the completed project, and there is no viable option for street parking adjacent to the property. So although there are objections, they actually aren't really a sort of a fundamental planning objection to the extensions.
Is everyone happy with Heather's recommendations?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So 5/2026/0945 and 0992 do not meet the criteria for this meeting. So 5/2026/0948, which is the Malta Lower Luton Road.
Okay, the proposal is focused at first floor level to the rear towards Southview Road. Proposal is looking to create 3 apartments, 1 2-bedroom and 2 1-bedroom, with reconfiguration of the existing first floor accommodation and extending above the existing ground floor element. 2 apartments will have their own terrace. Footprint is not extending and the extension will have hipped roofs angled away from the properties on Southview Road, which sit on higher ground, therefore reducing any impact on them. There are no side windows on number 2C Southview Road, which is located directly behind the application site. The first floor is currently in use as residential accommodation associated with the public house. The application states that by removing the first floor element from the public house's lease will reduce running costs and therefore support the operation of the public house during a difficult financial time for the hospitality sector. Entrance to the apartments will be via independent access to the rear and not linked to the public house. The existing rear takeaway access will be relocated to the front. There are no planned changes to the running of the existing businesses trading from the site, which is a public house, cafe and takeaway. There is currently no parking provision for the site and no parking provision is proposed in the application. Not conservation area and no tree work. And I've said consider no objections, subject to no detrimental impact on 2C Southview Road, and then the relevant policies.
Any objections?
No, there's actually no objection even from highways.
Right. Is everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right, thank you. 5/2026 0791 0881 0949 will not be discussed this evening. 5/2026 0950 will be, which is 23 Wood End Hill.
A, the detached property sits at the end of the road, the Tuffnells Way, running along the right-hand side. At ground floor, it is proposed to add a small front extension to the lounge and a rear infill extension which extends a small distance beyond the existing utility room building line. At first floor, it's proposed to add a small left-hand side extension partially over the roof of the ground floor element to create 2 en-suites, which is stepped in away from the boundary with number 21 Wood End Hill. Also proposed to the opposite side and taking in the existing side projecting bedroom element is an extension over the ground floor to expand an existing bedroom and add another ensuite. The proposed extensions appear to be in keeping with the host dwelling and won't cause any detrimental impact on number 21 Wood End Hill or the street scene of Tuffnells Way. There is no increase in bedrooms, not conservation area and no tree work. There is parking for 2 cars on the frontage and a double garage at the end of the rear garden. I've said consider no objection. There is actually an objection online for number 20, from actually number 16 Wood End Hill, which is on the opposite side of the road. Proposed roof elevation on the right-hand side of the property is higher than the existing roof line and would have a significant visual impact on our property number 16, which directly faces the frontage of number 23. It appears somewhat disproportionate to the existing building and the existing street scene. Proposed front extension would potentially reduce the area available for off-road parking for number 23. In addition, it may conflict with a restrictive covenant included on the deeds, etc. So that's not a planning consideration.
So it's the fact that the roof goes up at
Yeah.
that side rather than that side.
Yeah, it's because it's higher than, so to say, it appears is the right-hand side of the property is higher than the existing roof line and would have a significant visual impact on our property at number 16.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's going to stop their view.
No. Is the right-hand side of the property higher than the existing ridge line? I don't think
Yeah.
that's right.
I think
It is.
the ridge line isn't changing, but it's just that the shape of the roof line is very different.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
just, but it's not higher. It's
It
not
is.
higher. It's the same level as the existing.
No, I think it is
It is
increasing.
increasing.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Just about, I think.
Because if you look at the existing picture on the left, it's,
Yeah, I don't know if that.
But the picture on the left has marked the central piece of the building as number 2, and that doesn't appear to be changing.
yeah, but the bit to the right is what they're
The
talking
bit to the
about.
right is.
Yes, that's what they're
That's
concerned about.
lifting up quite a bit.
It's essentially joining the ridge,
Joining the
joining the
ridge.
ridge, but at the moment it's not joining the ridge. It is sagged sort of lower down the pitch of the roof.
Well, I'm happy with the comment provided.
Is everyone happy with no objection?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. Right, 5/20/26 0820 6 Wheatfield Avenue.
Okay, this large attached property sits at the end of the road with Wheatfield Road running down the left-hand side. The footprint of the property is planned to increase by extending the whole footprint to be in line with the deepest existing element of the property, which is to the side with number 4 Wheatfield Avenue. This in turn creates a more dominant rectangular footprint across the plot. At first floor, the footprint is also substantially increasing from the existing to cover the footprint of the extended ground floor. First floor does not currently cover the whole ground floor footprint, therefore is currently more subservient. Accommodation is also proposed in the roof space, which is achieved by increasing the ridge height from approximately 7.2 metres to 9.2 metres. A rear balcony accessible from 2 bedrooms is proposed, although there does not appear to be an opportunity for overlooking the surrounding properties. Current property takes a standard brick and tile design. Proposed changes are for grey roof tiles, render and black cladding at certain points, in addition to a standard brick. Large front feature windows are proposed, the gallery, straight landing and second floor bedroom. The bulk massing and design appear to be at odds with the other properties in the street scene and locality. It should be noted that the second drop curb is included in the drawings, although it is expected that this will be removed throughout the consultation period to ensure compliance with the Hertfordshire Highways policy of just 1 dropped curb per property. Not conservation area, no tree work and ample parking provision included, including a single integral garage space. And I've said consider express concern that the proposed extensions, increase in ridge height, design and use of materials could lead to a detrimental impact on the street scene and locality, and then the relevant policies. So as I've quite rightly picked up, that there is actually an objection from the county to the additional crossover.
Yeah,
But on the basis of the information I shared recently, when we looked at other applications over sort of recent months that have had an additional drop curb, the applicant generally
Pulls it out.
makes an amendment with and removes that. So I don't know that it's necessarily worth it. We can mention something about it in the wording, but I think fundamentally they recognise that it's not going to be approved with that.
So I have a question and then a couple of points. The first point off is, are there any objections from neighbours with respect to that?
No,
And then my kind of second point, the follow-on to that is, I don't agree that this is a detrimental impact on the street scene. I think that, where Wheatfield Avenue is positioned in relation to particularly the uplands, that this kind of architectural design and material is in keeping with a developing architectural style that is varied across West Common. And I think the absence of objections from neighbours is indicative of that, because I think if this was a significant architectural departure, there would have been, and I don't think in that perspective it is. So I would be inclined to, I'm inclined to no objection, actually, to be honest.
John, yeah.
well, it's quite a big change, it seems to me. And after all, we're not the final judges here, it's the district. So we can express concern and see what the district has to say about it.
I understand what's been said. I think it's quite a bulky development and already quite a bulky property. The trouble is, I can't actually envisage that street scene at all. So it's difficult.
So if I was to give you, so you kind of, if you know, do you know where the uplands is? Right?
I know what
Yeah.
You drive down the uplands, and right before you get to the end of the uplands, where you kind of Pennycroft will be on the left, and then you get to the cul-de-sac, you make a right turning, and then you make the immediate right turning, and it's the house on the corner. So to my mind, this development, which is certainly not a kind of traditional brick house, it is novel architecture, but it's no more novel than the houses on adjacent roads. And so from that perspective, I have absolutely no problem with this development. And actually, indeed, I think that if there had been some sort of objection from the neighbours with respect to it, I would be more inclined to listen to those, but I don't think it's out of keeping with local character. If that makes sense.
Yes,
Yeah, so to my mind, if the district have a problem with it, that's for them. But from our perspective, I don't feel we need to object, but obviously you're all entitled to your own points of view, and I'm happy to be carried by the group if that disagrees.
thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I think I always say it's out, whether it's out of architectural style or not. I mean, there are varieties of architectural style down there, but whether this one is, it's the fact that there aren't any neighbours' objections is actually a bit persuasive on this one.
I
It
think
is-
kind of my comment is it would be the very first one in this street
Yeah.
to do it. Yeah.
I think I would leave an express concern, I think on balance. Then district could make a decision on what they think. We aren't saying don't do it, we're just saying give it some thought.
Is that correct though, Heather? Because if you, okay, once, you know, you turn right and you make that immediate right turning, it might be the first one on Whitfield Avenue, as you will, but over the road, that house has been redeveloped on the adjacent, I can't remember, trying to remember the name of the
There's
street.
Wheatfield Road and then there's
Yeah.
Wheatfield Avenue.
It's the
So
one over the road, I don't know if it's Wheatfield Road or Wheatfield Avenue, which way around, but that one has been redeveloped. And that isn't brick, that's got kind of like solid, not marble, it's a sort of solid rock. Door arch, and it's got quite larger windows. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, this is definitely even more of a departure than that, but I just, you know, I think it's 3 houses away from the uplands, to my mind.
The design to me is less of an issue. For me, it's the second and third floor bulk that they're adding, which I don't actually object to. I'm just worried that the neighbours haven't seen it. And
just,
that's what my worry is, because there is a lot more bulk. You look at the 2 sets of floor
Yeah.
plans, it's kind of doubling in depth and adding a third floor. Whether that sits within the height or not, I think it must, it's quite a bit higher, isn't it? Yeah. I think it's just bringing their attention
Yeah.
to the bulk of it, just in
Yeah.
case the neighbours have been away or
Well,
in
yeah.
hospital or
I mean,
anything.
Yeah.
it's, just because they're not on there at the moment doesn't mean that it's
It
not,
won't appear.
it's not going to appear. You know, we're still quite early on in the consultation period. So it could, unless there's been a development within the last couple of years, because this is September 24, these are the properties that are sort of in the vicinity, which look to me all as if they're very much kind of standard brick. Admittedly, this one here potentially is slightly, you know, sort of kind of has been extended and is slightly taller. But from what I can see, I don't know that anything, unless, and Councillor Spear, if there's been development since, I think there's this one here, but that's kind of more of an older, smaller development there, but it could be that there has been development in more recent times.
Okay, so maybe if we add on the beginning, fact that we've got no objection to a development.
Yeah.
Just consider that the increase in ridge height, it might impact neighbours. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
No problem.
Yep, thank you. So we now move to 5/2026/0928, which is 11 Meetings Close. And have you already? Thank you.
Okay, right, here we go, 11 Poynings Close. The property is located at the end of a cul-de-sac with properties positioned in a crescent formation with large haphazard shaped rear gardens. Proposed is looking to demolish the angled forward projecting double garage to facilitate a 2-storey side extension with small single-storey element to the boundary with number 10 Poynings Close. This will achieve a single garage and expanded living accommodation at ground floor level and reconfiguration of bedrooms and the addition of 2 bathrooms at first floor. Another 2-storey extension is also proposed on the opposite side to similarly provide more open plan living accommodation at ground floor, reconfigure bedrooms and the addition of another along with a wardrobe space and an ensuite. This will total 5 bedrooms. Due to these changes, the footprint is sizably increasing. However, the hipped roofs on either side help to reduce any impact on neighbouring properties, especially number 10 Poynings Close, along with the positioning of the neighbouring properties on their plots. Aesthetically, the main changes are the addition, resizing and removal of dormer windows in all elevations, addition of more solar panels, cladding added at strategic points, slate roof tiles and painted brickwork. The description for the application includes the addition of new 1.8 metre electric gates and piers. The street appears to be characterised by open frontages with no other gating arrangements. Therefore, this could be out of keeping with the street scene. There is parking for 3 cars on the frontage, not conservation area and no tree work. And I've said no objection, subject to the proposal not causing a detrimental impact on number 10 Poynings Close, and the proposed electric gates deemed to be an acceptable addition to the street scene with the relevant policies quoted.
Seem to have developed that without really impacting anybody, which I think is
Yeah,
quite clever, really.
yeah. I mean, it's a very strange plot.
It is a weird plot.
Yes, it is a weird plot.
How does everyone feel about that?
Comments?
I think after the comment, I think it's,
What Heather said.
Yeah.
you like to draw attention to the gates.
Yes, I think the district might be concerned about them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 5/2026/0930 is not for this evening. 5/2026/0768 Prospect Lane is our next one.
The proposal is looking at ground floor to infill a gap down the side behind what is believed to be the utility room and extend across the full width of the rear, fill in another gap to the side of the garage and add a small box extension with open-sided porch to the front. A first floor is proposed to extend partially over the infill side extension to provide 2 en-suites, add 2 gable roofed extensions to expand 2 existing bedrooms, and extend over the front box extension to provide a void for the entrance lobby below. There does not appear to be any impact caused on the neighbouring properties from the proposals. There is ample parking efficient on the frontage. There is 1 tree to be removed along with some shrubs. However, 2 trees to be replanted in the rear garden. Not conservation area, and I've said consider no objection.
Everyone content with that?
Absolutely.
Yep. So the following one will be considered this evening: 5/2026/0957, 0964, 0915, 0991, 1016, 1017, 1009, 0893, and 1026. So we now move to 5/2026/1032, which is Barton Close.
This application is proposing to deliver a similar proposal to what this committee considered in December 25, which was the 2025, which was subsequently withdrawn. However, this proposal is also adding accommodation in the roof space by the addition of a flat roof dormer to the rear and roof lights to the front. Background to the site since the withdrawal of the previous application is that the neighbouring attached property at number 8 has since received permission to extend their property. This submission for number 6 mirrors at ground floor what has been granted for number 8 and extending the first floor to be in line with their proposed first floor element at the point of the 2 properties attaching. It is, however, not proposed to extend to the same degree to the front and rear at first floor as the granted application for number 8. Despite the addition of the roof accommodation, the proposals appear to be in keeping and not detrimental to number 4, given the extensions to this side are only single storey and at first floor level are infilling next to an existing first floor element. Roof extension accommodation will add 2 bedrooms, which totals 6 across the property. However, there is ample parking on the frontage, which is completely hard standing, not conservation area, no tree work, so consider no objection.
Everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So, 5/2026/1089, 1057, 1074, 1067 will not be discussed this evening. So we go 5/2026/1003, 5 Rosebery Avenue.
Make sure that Nick hadn't tried to join us. Okay, the proposal is looking to add a detached 5-bedroom dwelling in the side garden space on number 5 Rosebery Avenue. The plot is described in the application as one of the last double plots, which many houses in Rosebery Avenue no longer have due to a similar development as is proposed in this application being delivered. The new property is of a similar design, scale and bulk to what will be the neighbouring properties. The footprint sits in line with the front building line of those neighbouring properties, and the 45-degree visibility zone for the rear has been considered. Gaps down both boundary lines are provided. Despite the loss of garden to number 5 Rosebery Avenue, there appears to be sufficient garden retained for the size of the dwelling. Access to the new property will utilise one of the existing driveways of number 5 Rosebery Avenue. There's parking for 2 cars on the frontage and another in an integral garage. One tree, which is a domestic pear, located on the side boundary of number 7, and one stretch of hedge, which is Western Red Cedars, which currently creates the section of screening to the garden from the street scene, are to be removed to facilitate the proposal. Further trees and landscape plantings proposed to the front and rear gardens. Numbers 5 and 7 Rosebery Avenue are locally listed in the conservation area. However, the proposal does not appear to cause any detrimental impact on their character. I'll say consider objections subject to the proposal deemed to be an acceptable addition to the Harpenden Conservation Area with the supporting policies. Okay, so there are actually 2 objections online. One of them, which is from county, in relation to the dropped curb, but I don't know that they realise that they're actually utilising one of the already
Yeah.
existing second curbs.
Yeah.
So actually fundamentally, there will only be one curb
Per
between
property.
each property.
Yeah.
So I think that that's possible,
Yeah.
that it's just been a sweeping
Yeah,
review,
yeah.
Potentially for that
Very
one.
little look at it.
Attention to detail.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
And then there is actually an objection for number 8 Rosebery Avenue, which is on the opposite side of the road. So it says here, we live at 8 Rosebery Avenue, which is opposite number 5. So the proposed development will directly impact us, and their concerns, which I've just kind of cherry picked from their objections, are the roof line of the proposed new dwelling appears to be higher than the existing roof levels at numbers 5 and 7, which are both original Victorian/Edwardian houses. The chimney stack on the right of the new build seems out of proportion and is overbearing. The size of the proposed new build on such a narrow plot leaves little space on either side and would lead to overcrowding of the street scene. The removal of 3 protected Western red cedar trees and the replacement by a tall 3-storey building would negatively impact our amenity of light. Regarding the effects on trees and the natural environment, we comment further that unfortunately over recent years, these 3 Western red cedars have been allowed to gain both height and width to allow the impression of a hedge. Undoubtedly, these long established trees provide habitat for birds and possibly bats. On environmental and aesthetic grounds, removal of the Western red cedars would be unwelcome, as well as the fact that they have been the subject of a TPO for many years. They are not a hedge as evidenced by earlier correspondence, and applications should not be viewed as such. Traffic in Rosebery Avenue is already heavy with parking and at full capacity Monday to Friday. Additional cars parked on the road will only exacerbate the situation. A 5-bedroom house could well lead to extra parking. The drawing of the proposed new house shows an in and out drive, meaning the loss of 2 on-road parking spaces.
But they're already there, the driveways, aren't they?
They are,
So just
yes,
established.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, from my point of view, the avenues are, they've filled every inch in the
Yeah.
avenues, and this is
Yeah.
just a spot that hasn't been filled yet.
Yeah.
Any thoughts? Do we agree with Heather?
I'm happy with the comments.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm happy that there's been lots of.
Do you want to, are you happy with that, Heather,
Infill.
after what you've just read?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, the kind of fundamentally, I'm not quite sure necessarily that their concerns are founded, really.
I mean, I understand a bit about the trees.
Yes,
But they hopefully they'll be asked to replant anyway, won't they?
yes, so they, yeah,
Yeah.
they,
Okay. Everyone happy with that?
Yeah,
Okay, let's go to 5/2026 1045, which is 44 Park Avenue North.
okay, the current property is a large 4-bedroom detached property sitting on a spacious plot set back from the road, with tall tree screening to the front. It is in the Harpenden Conservation Area, but it's not locally listed, but the neighbouring property at number 46 is. Proposal is looking to demolish the existing and replace with a modern, larger 6-bedroom property, which sits on a larger footprint than existing, but is more centrally, so it's more centralised on the plot with good space down the boundaries. Permission was granted in 2022 for the replacement 5-bedroom dwelling at number 42 Park Avenue North, but has not been constructed, and the permission has since lapsed. The ridge height of the proposed new property is in line with that of the approved dwelling at number 42, but that property is of a more traditional design than what is proposed for number 44. The orientation of the properties in this section of the street scene is not uniform, with the main house for number 46 sat a long way back than the current footprint of number 44, and number 42 is sat even further forward. The new proposal is looking to position the footprint more in line with number 46 and with the similar with a similar front building line to number 42. The approved property number 42's footprint is centrally positioned against this proposal, so taking into consideration the possible future footprint of this property. Proposed new property's bulk and massing is more dominant than that of the existing, but is of similar bulk and massing to other replacement properties that have been approved and or constructed in close proximity, as are the designer materials. The side extensions extend much further than the existing, but due to the positioning of the neighbouring properties, the impact appears to be somewhat mitigated by their siting with the 45-degree visibility zones shown for each neighbouring property, including for the approved application number 42, should this be constructed in the future following fresh approval. Existing trees and landscaping that affords the site some screening appears to be retained, along with additional planting throughout the site. The 4 parking spaces proposed with 2 in garaging. So I've said consider no objection, subject to no detrimental impact on the neighbouring properties, and proposal deemed to be accepted in the Hartland Conservation Area with the supporting policies. So there is, I wouldn't class it as being an objection. It's more really a series of questions that have been lodged by number 46 Park Avenue North, which I won't read out because fundamentally, if this person had looked at the application fully, then the questions would have been answered.
Okay.
So there isn't actually really any fundamental objections. It's more a series of
Curiosity.
questions seeking clarification on different
Yeah.
points, but
Okay.
all of those could easily be
Found in the.
found in the information. Yeah. There is actually I suppose an observation stroke objection, which is from the Heart Ecology.
Could you
which-
get that any smaller?
I can read it though.
Show them.
I'm great.
Can read it. So it actually relates to the bats. It says, given its setting, which is near to established gardens and areas of semi-natural habitats, and the apparent features present, which will be utilised by bats, they're essentially asking for a bat survey to be provided. So that's
Yeah.
something that potentially that they could do, or if they don't, it might be refused.
The only question I've got is, haven't we had a couple before that have been refused, knocked down, and just said you need to develop it because they didn't want them to, some eco reason?
There was one that it was a very strange one that just it
They
was
wouldn't let
kind
them
of-
knock it down, would they?
No, it was because of they were stating that it was a self-build and they hadn't put in the biodiversity net gain. It was the
Ah,
one-
yes.
It was the one,
Yes.
so I can't remember the address. I want to say it was. Oh Lord, I can't remember. It was right next to
Don't
the
worry, yeah.
substation, but I know exactly the one that you're talking about. But it just, that seemed to be an outlier,
Yeah.
really, in my view, as to why that one. wasn't-
Okay,
Yeah.
how's everyone feel about this one?
Comment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me too. All right,
Okay, yeah.
lovely. So that's it for applications, appeals. We've got
Yeah.
4 to look at.
Yeah, we,
Thanks, right.
so I've got, I think, some sort of kind of some supporting images for these. So number 6, Brackendale Grove, which is our friend here, which I think we looked at
Diagonal.
both then and also another application.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
So this is the appeal for the very first application that was refused and it has been dismissed. So essentially, we also recommended refusal due
Yeah.
to the proposed forward projection, and essentially the inspector has agreed. But it's not to say that they won't potentially get permission for the other one. And
Where's the inspector sit? Is that council? Is that district or is it nationally?
no, it's nationally,
Yeah.
it's Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one that, the follow-up one that we did, has that come through yet? Or is that?
So I
too?
haven't cited the
No, the decision.
decision for that
Fine.
yet, no. Ramwood Park, and then the other one, 24 Ramwood Park, which is quite a substantial building. We actually have no objection to it, but it was obviously refused at district, and the appeal has also been dismissed. Okay. And then this one, which I'm quite relieved about,
Top Street
number
Way.
49 Top Street Way, which I think we've looked at on several occasions,
Yes.
has finally been given permission.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, that which is good. And then the other one is just a notification that they have gone to appeal because of it's been refused, which is the 12 Westfield Avenue. So once we get the decision for that, we'll look at what the outcome is. And then just very quickly, a few applications just to draw your attention to, in
Tree
terms of
works.
the, no, so
No.
actually, yeah, tree works. I don't think there was anything this time, no tree works.
Okay, and then decisions?
So the decisions, although this one is strictly outside of our area, but I think that it was a useful one for me to share with you, is that the application at the rugby club for paddle courts, because they were also looking to put in paddle courts up there, has been withdrawn. So
Oh,
I think, yeah, they've withdrawn it. So potentially they may have come up against a few issues with the green belt.
That's what I understood the problem was, greenbelt.
Yeah, so I think that they've
Yeah.
decided to withdraw rather than go through the whole planning process.
That's a shame.
So, yeah,
It's a real shame.
that was just a, useful ones to just draw to attention. Another one, which is the old Morecambe property at Bracefield has been given permission. You remember
Yeah.
Jarvis came forward with 3
Yeah.
properties on that site. That's been given permission. This is probably quite an interesting one. It wasn't one that we actually looked at because it's one of the prior approvals. This is for number 6 High Street in town, which is the old M&Co building.
Oh, yes.
One
Oh,
that
yeah.
Come in. So they were applying for a prior approval for retention of the commercial element downstairs and conversion of the first floor and the second floor to be residential. So the prior approval is actually required, and so it's been refused. So I'm expecting a full application to come forward.
to address that.
But yeah, to potentially address that one. So just
Okay,
useful for us to know that it's not just laying completely dormant, that there are sort of proposals on the horizon to actually to develop it.
yeah.
I
Do
think,
they still own it, Oakham?
no,
It's
no,
on
no, I don't think they ever did own it.
Oh, they would, oh, fine.
I don't know that they ever did own it. I may be wrong.
Yeah,
I may
okay.
be wrong. So,
What was it?
yeah, and I think that was it. Yeah, don't think the other ones, there was anything else that I wanted to draw to your attention. I think it was just those few.
Lovely. Okay, so date of the next meeting, Tuesday the 21st. I will not be here.
I went either.
And I won't.
Will you, Sam?
Sam,
I'm broad.
Oh dear.
Right, okay.
The 21st.
We might need to work quite hard to to see if we can get some subs.
What happens if meeting is in quorum
Then the meeting can't go ahead.
and then we just don't get input, presumably, or?
Yes, or what we can do, which essentially happened during COVID, when we weren't meeting in person, is that the meetings took place and then ultimately the suggestions put forward are then actually agreed by Carl. So he has the ability with delegated powers to say that those are the recognised. So I can do it like that.
Might be, because David can't stand in. So we would be limited to, yes, who is.
I only need
Why
4.
can't David stand?
This is his district role.
But is he still on development management?
Oh, I don't know,
I didn't think he was.
but he's.
we asked
He
anyway.
has a long
Shall we,
standing view, I think.
So I'm putting your notes down here.
Yes, if we close the meeting out,
Yeah.
I'll be able to stop recording. So meeting close at 20:29.
09.
So bear with me just a second.